Hello, for this logical reasoning, I decided to use the paraphrasing or rewriting it instead of doing the logical variables where you utilize a single variable to take on a full sentence structure or vocabulary. So right now I have the first sentence: our country needs as much capital as possible for overseas investors in order to sustain our economy. So basically what they're trying to say is that the U.S. needs capitals from investors outside of our nations in order to keep the economy running, and capital is kind of like the production of goods. Hence, we cannot afford any reduction in the amount of capital the overseas investors have invested here. So they cannot allow capital invested to be reduced in the United States. Therefore it's kind of like a conclusion. To sustain our economy, we should pass laws making it much more difficult for overseas investors to remove their capitals. So in conclusion, creating laws for investors outside of the USA are not able to remove their current capital. That's kind of like the creating laws. And in the last video, we went over a conclusion symbol. I'm going to try to see if we can do it again in this video as well, but that's going to be the conclusion. So with this information we have that the U.S. needs capitals from investors outside of the country in order to keep the economy running. Basically keep the country's productions, goods, businesses, operations sustained. They're communicating about not reducing the capital investments in the USA, so no reductions. And in conclusion, they're communicating about creating laws for investors outside the U.S. to make it more difficult for them to remove their current capital. So this is going to be a weakening question here. Which of one of the following, if true, most weakens the economy's reasoning? For the first one, to sustain its economy, the country needs to diversify its investment more evenly across the country's industry. No, spreading investment evenly in the U.S. is kind of irrelevant to making it weaker. Choice B, laws that would make it more difficult for overseas investors to remove their capital would strongly discourage them from investing any additional capital. Yes, this will damage or weaken the economy's reasoning on investors to support capital in USA. And let's continue, see if there's a better answer. See, the historical period during which the country's economy had the highest rate of growth were those periods during which the amount of capital invested by overseas investors was highest. I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because it's kind of historical, which is not relevant for making a statement weaker. In a country other than a communist, passage of law that makes it very difficult for overseas investors to remove their capital have not entirely prevented the removal of capital invested by overseas investor. I'm going to say no. It keeps the same level of problem. It keeps the same level of weak at the same level. It doesn't really make it weaker. Last one is going to be E. 2 years ago, the country enacted laws that placed some restrictions on the capital of the removal of capital by overseas investors. Once again, that kind of makes it slightly weak compared to choice B, with B being the better answer. This right here, laws make it more difficult for overseas investors to remove the capital, would strongly discourage them from investing any additional capital. It would definitely make it weaker. And let's go ahead and show the answer. And we got that one correct. So once again, if you guys are interested in the conclusion symbol for the logic philosophy, I'm going to go ahead and quickly draw it for you guys. All it's going to be for conclusion symbol is just going to be 3 triangles. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and this symbol right here will mean conclusion. So I hope that helps. Thank you guys very much for watching the video.